This is absolutely correct. The actual story takes place in Charleston, South Carolina in May of 1865. During the Civil War, the Confederate Army turned the Washington Racetrack, a horse racing track, into a prison camp for Union soldiers. Over 260 Union soldiers died there from exposure and disease, and they were buried in a mass grave behind the grandstand. When the war ended and the Confederate soldiers fled Charleston, the newly freed black residents of the city decided they wanted to honor the soldiers that died at that prison. They exhumed the mass graves and buried each soldier individually in their own grave at a new cemetery that was fenced in. The sign they placed over that cemetery read, "Martyrs of the Racecourse." Then on May 1st, 1865, approximately 10,000 people, most of them black, including 3,000 black children, held a ceremony and a massive parade to honor the Union dead. The event included, but was not limited to, a march led by black children who were holding flowers and singing. There were also religious services and patriotic songs like the Star-Spangled Banner and John Brown's Body. And then joining the ceremonies were Union soldiers, local missionaries, and Northern abolitionists. This ceremony is considered by historians to be the first large-scale observance of what we now know as Memorial Day. However, racists had to whitewash it. That story was forgotten until 1991. It wasn't until David W. Blight, a historian, found records at Harvard University of the actual first ceremony of Memorial Day. And the original story matters because it reframes the holiday as not just a military commemoration, but as a radical act of remembrance by those who had the most to lose and the most to gain from freedom. Now you're probably wondering what happened to that cemetery. Well, all the bodies were eventually moved by the U.S. government to Beaufort National Cemetery, about 70 miles away. And that cemetery, the original cemetery, became Hampton Park. So if you live in Charleston, South Carolina, and you've ever gone to Hampton Park, you actually went to the first site of Memorial Day. However, at Hampton Park, you're not going to find anything that has to do with that ceremony, although historians are trying to get at least a plaque or something there to commemorate it. But as long as Republicans are in charge of Charleston, South Carolina, that's not going to happen.